The resurrection makes all the difference in the world. On our Catholic Influencers podcast, I was speaking about the difference that the resurrection makes in our lives. There was a movie, I forgot the name of the movie, but it was a story about a discovery that they were going through sort of excavations, and they found, according to this movie, the bones of Jesus. Now, you think, okay, but that changed everything. Even in the movie, priests went through crisis, and the Pope had to resign, and the whole church fell apart because what they found in this movie was that Jesus didn't rise from the dead. And because Jesus didn't rise in this movie, then the church had no voice. The church meant nothing. The church was just a voice of myth, a mythological voice. So the resurrection makes all the difference in the world. You and I stand here as Christians, as Catholics, because we believe in the resurrection. The resurrection means that the gates of heaven are open. The resurrection means that you can now not only know about God, the God of history, but you can get to know God personally. This is what it is about. The resurrection means that you can have a personal relationship with Jesus. It's not about knowing about the God of history, what He did 2,000 years ago, but what He's doing now in your life. He could help you stand on the shoulders of a giant and see the world through a whole new perspective, the perspective of heaven. How amazing and how incredible is that? But the pity is many of us don't live in the resurrection. We live in the crucifixion. We live in the suffering of Jesus. We live in the past life of Jesus, but not necessarily in the resurrection. We know about Jesus, but don't know Jesus today. The question I ask you is, Jesus is risen from the dead. He's alive. What was the last conversation you had with Him? What was the last thing He told you? What's the last time He impacted your life and changed your life in a profound way? Well, if you cannot remember that or don't know that, maybe you too only know about God and don't know God personally. I know about a lot of movie stars and a lot of singers, but it doesn't mean that if I approach them, I know anything, that I know them personally. Now, this is the same with God. God wants us to know Him personally. And how do we do that? By stopping and listening to the voice of God through the Scriptures, through the still small voice in your own heart, speaking to Jesus every day and allowing Him to work in your life. I know that God wants this relationship with you and that God has called you to the fullness of life because of the resurrection. Speak to Him, get to know Him, get to love Him, make sure that you have a relationship and you're walking with the risen Christ, and not just in information mode, knowing about a God who existed in history. God, Jesus, is alive today because of Resurrection Sunday.